Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Getting a Leg Up on Your Business Startup, presented by U.S. Small Business Administration and Incubator Works. Many thanks to our presenters, Howard Garrity, Grace Connors, Stephen Barr, Greg Soffley, and Ashley Madison for being with us today, and to all the participants who have joined in, and to our educational series sponsor, Chemung Canal Trust Company. Please note this webinar is being recorded to share what we learn with the business community. All attendees will receive the link to the recording. The U.S. Small Business Administration team will share their presentations with you first, and then the Incubator Works team will go after, and we will hold the Q&A after that. Please use the chat to submit any questions during the presentation. Just a reminder, when others are speaking, please keep your audio on mute to minimize background noise. With that said, I'll turn it over to Howard to start things off.
Yeah, thank you very much, Beth. Ashley, it's nice to see you.
You too, Howard.
And congratulations on your recent promotion.
Thank you so much.
I am with, as Beth said, U.S. Small Business Administration. I'd like to introduce my colleagues from Syracuse, New York. Grace Connors, she's our lender relations specialist. And then Steve Barr, who is also our contracting specialist. I call him contracting guru. Because I know enough about contracting to know what I don't know. So anybody that asks me about contracting, they get a phone call from Steve. So appreciate both of them being on the call today. A little bit of background on our Syracuse district. We cover 34 counties in upstate New York. Steve and Grace are located in Syracuse, and I'm actually located right in Elmira, maybe just a block and a half from the Chemung County Chamber. So what do? We help small businesses start, grow, and succeed. And we do that basically three different ways. Our Access to Capital program, which Grace will be speaking about, and our business counseling services that are available through our resource partners. I will touch base on that just briefly. And then the contracting side of SBA, and Steve will be covering that. So in terms of resource partners that we work with locally, right in our area anyway, we have 2 SCORE chapters. For those of you that are not familiar with SCORE, we call them counselors to America's small business. We've got a chapter located in Auburn, New York, and probably the closest one to Elmira would be the SCORE chapter in Binghamton, New York, Greater Binghamton SCORE chapter. You can reach those folks 2 different ways. By emailing them at centralnewyork.score.org, and that will connect you with either the Auburn chapter or the Greater Binghamton chapter. So why would you use one of our resource partners such as SCORE? Or the next one that I should mention right now before I go on any further would be in Binghamton, New York, Small Business Development Center. They're affiliated with Binghamton University. You can reach them. I'll give you a phone number. It might be the best way to contact those folks. Area code 607-777-4024, or you can email them if you want to do that. Their email address is sbdc@binghamton.edu. But oftentimes we will get calls from somebody that may be just starting up in a business. They need some assistance with a business plan, have a great idea, but not sure how to proceed from there. And that's when I highly recommend that those folks take advantage of either working with our SCORE chapter or the Small Business Development Center. I always tell these folks, if you're looking for financing, if you're going to have go in and sit down with a lender and have a good productive discussion, you need a pretty good business plan. So that would be several reasons why you might want to work with SCORE or SBDC. If you're in business, want to grow your business, that would be another reason why you might want to work with the folks at SBDC or SCORE. If you've got some questions as to, putting a business plan together, or just some questions on, general questions, maybe on marketing or finances, cash flow statements, that type of thing. Another great reason to use SCORE or the folks at SBDC. So I'm going to kind of leave it at there in terms of speaking about resource partners, and going to turn it over to Grace Connors, because I've always found that, on most of the calls that I've been on, such as this anyway, everybody likes to know where's the money and how do you get it. So Grace, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. I am the lender relations specialist for the Syracuse district office. We cover 34 counties, and my primary role is to work with our lenders who are authorized to make SBA guaranteed loans. We are very much a partner to our lenders in that we provide a guarantee to our lenders if they make SBA guaranteed loans. So it's very much the lender's loan. So at a minimum, I would advise, beyond what Howard mentioned, to make sure that you have a lending institution, whether it's a bank or a credit union, that you feel comfortable with, because it's very much going to be a relationship for the life of your SBA loan, as well as beyond, and any other credit or lending or deposit things that you may need. So we have a couple of loan programs. Our first loan program is our microloan program, and that program is carried out through microlender intermediaries. The counties that we're talking about today, you actually have two that serve the area. The first is REDEC. And they carry out our microloan program. And the other one is a statewide lender, and they are Pursuit Lending. They are technically headquartered in the Albany market, but they cover New York State. The microloan program is really designed for businesses who are not bankable, maybe quite yet, or businesses that are starting up. Those loans are, they're very mission-based, and they are term loans only, so no lines of credit. They are loans that are up to $50,000, and they go for a term of 6 years, and they can be used for anything primarily except to purchase real estate. So if you have some permanent working capital needs, equipment, furniture, those types of things are what our microloans are used for. Our microloans really are designed, again, for startup businesses. We also try to hit underserved markets, so women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and even veteran-owned businesses. So if you have some reasons that you may not be quite yet ready for some traditional financing, I would certainly mention working with a microlender. In addition to making loans, all of our micro lenders have a technical component, meaning that they have to provide technical assistance in order to be funded and use the SBA's grant. So you will be able to get some business assistance, maybe similar to what the SCORE chapter or SBDC would provide. I do know that REDEC partners very well with the SBDC. They're located in the same building. So oftentimes some of the technical assistance is provided by the SBDC. Our second loan program, which is our flagship loan program, is our 7A guaranteed loan program. And that really runs the gamut of ways and reasons which it can be used. Those are loans up to $5 million. And again, it can be used to purchase real estate. It can be used for working capital, furniture and fixtures. There is under one of our sub-programs under 7A, the ability to have lines of credit under that program. If you're a contractor, we also have a cap line program under the 7A loan program. So the 7A loan program is very much initiated by the lender. So you as the small business would still go and apply at the lending institution that you work with, go through their internal processes, and then the lending institution will decide whether or not they want to use an SBA guarantee. And if they do, the lending institution will get the additional information from you, and they will process the loan and close the loan, and they will continue to service the loan. So getting an SBA guaranteed loan doesn't mean that your business is bad or isn't going to succeed. It just may not, for some reason, meet that lending institution's credit policies. For example, some of the reasons why banks and credit unions use our guaranteed loan program is 7A guaranteed loan program is maybe you're a startup business. Startup businesses certainly have a higher risk of failure at the beginning. Maybe the bank or credit union wants a longer term. Maybe you as a small business owner don't have quite enough of an equity injection to put in. For example, most banks and credit unions require a 20% equity injection. Under our 7A loan program, only under certain circumstances, you only have to have a 10% equity injection. So that's a huge benefit to the borrower. And if for the unfortunate reason the business fails to repay the loan, the SBA, the federal government, will honor a certain portion of that loan back to the bank or the credit union, so it minimizes the loss to the bank or credit union. So the benefit to the small businesses, we're allowing banks and credit unions to open up their lending parameters and have a broader sense of type of business and where they're lending to that they may not feel comfortable with on their own. Our final loan program is our 504 loan program. That's very much an economic development loan program. And when I talk about the 504 loan program, there's always three parties that are involved, and it's for larger projects, fixed assets. So think purchase real estate, build a building, a construction company that has huge pieces of equipment. And the three parties that are involved with the 504 loan program are the Certified Development Company, AKA SBA, the third party lender, which will be the bank or the credit union, and then you, the small business owner. And it's a 50-40-10 rule. So the bank or the credit union is going to finance 50% of the total project cost. Then the CDC, SBA will finance up to 40% of the total project cost. And the benefit to the small businesses, in most circumstances, you only have to put in a 10% equity injection. There will be two loans under the 504 loan program. One will be to the bank or the credit union, and the second one will be to the CDC. And the benefit to the borrower, again, is for a 15, 20, or 25-year term, you'll have a fixed rate, and it's usually below market. So for 40% of the total project, you'll have a fixed long-term low interest rate loan. Again, that loan program is very much utilized for larger projects. In the southern tier, there are two CDCs that carry out the 504 loan program. One is, again, Pursuit. They have that hat as well. So they cover the entire state. And the other one is Greater Syracuse Business Development Corporation. They're located in the Syracuse market, and they can serve contiguous counties, and they have worked into the southern tier. So, that's just a very high level view of our three loan programs. I would say that as the small business owner, above and beyond, it's important to make sure you have a sound business plan, to make sure that you have justifiable projections, because what do banks and credit unions want to know is how am I going to get my money? How am I going to repay this loan? And so that's at the heart of SBA. We have to make sure that the small business can stand on its own 2 feet and that they can repay the loan. So regardless of if you have additional income, if you have other outside sources of income, let's say a spouse or something, the business has to be able to show repayment ability, which is why it's so important to work with our partners. If you're a startup business, putting together those projections that are sound and that are going to show repayment ability and success of the small business. As we continue on in this panel, if there's specific questions, I can certainly answer those. Most small businesses are eligible under the microloan and 7A and 504 loan programs. We do have a handful of businesses that would not be eligible, such as not-for-profit businesses are not eligible for SBA guaranteed loans, and also landlords. So if you're purchasing investment properties where an actual small business is not going to occupy, those are just a couple of examples of types of businesses that would not be eligible. With that, I guess I will turn it to Steve for the contracting piece, and then we'll go to Q&A later. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. Thanks everybody for being here today, and good afternoon. The way I kind of, like to talk about government contracting is for, especially with the newer businesses, as a way to diversify your current business profile, or possibly even add new revenue streams that you may have lost through, other times, especially, especially recently during the pandemic. So what we're looking at here is, the federal government is the world's largest purchaser of all items, worldwide. And 23% of all federal spending has to go to small businesses. Historically, that number is right around the 25, 26%. So the federal government has typically exceeded that value. And just to put real dollars to percentages, that's $147 billion annually is typically procured directly to small businesses. And that does not include any type of subcontract. So these larger businesses out there that do receive these multi-billion dollar awards you read about in the news, they have subcontracting requirements to work with small businesses as well. So keep that in mind is when I talk about avenues and streams, I typically like to talk more about the prime side. But again, if you're a smaller, newer business, the subcontracting is a great way for businesses to learn about what's available to them. And a great way for businesses to kind of, what we have is programs or set-asides that helps these small businesses foothold or find niches in the market. These certifications are for women-owned businesses. So again, if you're a woman-owned one or more, and you own 51% or more of the business between all partners, you could qualify. We have our small disadvantaged business for those that are socially and economically disadvantaged. We have a certification for service-able veteran-owned businesses. And then we have a fourth certification for HubZone, which is has nothing to do with the ownership aspect. It has to do where the business is located. What's unique about the HubZone certification is 35% of the employees that work for the company have to reside in a HubZone, as well as the primary office of the organization lives in a HubZone. Many of our cities throughout the southern tier are in a HubZone area. So if you'd like to learn more about that, I'll be more than happy to go into more detail about if the certification is right for you and how it can actually work out for businesses. A couple things that I always hear from businesses is, there's so much red tape working with the federal government, all these certifications and processes. The federal government over the last few years have actually very, very much streamlined the federal contracting process. Right now, there's only one certification through sam.gov is the minimum requirement for a business to be certified with all federal agencies. State and local governments have their own policies in place. Unfortunately, I don't know all the roads for those avenues. I can only speak about the federal side, but that's how it works. And also, when I said early on that this could be a great revenue stream for diversification or alternate uses of funds, it really is that way, because once you complete a federal project as a small business within 30 days of completion, you are required by law to be paid by the federal government. So a very quick turnaround time for your services, and it's a great opportunity for businesses. Pretty much every single industry out there, the federal government buys for. Everything from pens, paper, airplanes, daycare, buildings, you name it, the federal government in one way, shape, or form has or currently does purchase these items. Just to kind of give you guys an overview of what opportunities are out there, think of every federal facility, military base as their own city. And if the community needs it locally, the federal government needs it that way too. So I try to keep things as a very simple mindset for a lot of businesses, just to think, even if you are selling something that's costs $5, the government buys small transactions anyway. If you count every single sale as one unit, 80% of all units are done at credit card sales, which means they're less than $3,500 in value. So the government buys a lot of small items all the time, as well as those big ticket items you see all the time online. So again, just something for businesses that are especially new to start thinking about is, am I ready to hold the government contract? Is this something that the government buys? Is the government a customer I want to have or not? Those are great questions to always have. And that's what we're here for, to help you figure out, help you with your market research to figure out what agencies are procuring this stuff and really help you become very successful. So our resource partners help with that. I help with that also in our office, and numerous other people can provide the support as well. So with that, I don't want to take up much more time than we really have here. Again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any more questions about our contracting programs.
Great, thank you, everyone. So we'll turn it over to Incubator Works.
Thank you. Greg's going to share a slide deck here. Okay, wonderful. Well, great to be here. Thanks for having us. So I am Ashley Madison, the Executive Director of Incubator Works, and Incubator Works has 2 brick and mortar facilities, one in Alfred and one in Corning, New York. So the left photo is our Alfred incubator. The photo on the right is our Corning incubator. And we serve entrepreneurs in Chemung, Steuben, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. Fun fact, you do not need to rent space in one of our incubators to access our services. Thank you, Greg. So what is a business incubator? Where did that term come from? So an incubator, we don't incubate chickens, we don't incubate babies, we incubate businesses. So with that, we provide a lot of different services, and like incubating babies and chickens, the purpose of an incubator is to help a business start and grow. It promotes economic development at its core. And incubators have been around for quite a long time. So incubators are across the United States. They are across the globe. The oldest incubator in New York State is probably close to 60 years old at this point, right down in Batavia. Our incubator is coming up on its 35th anniversary. So we think we are the second oldest incubator in New York State. But they have been around for quite a while to do exactly what I said, and that is to help entrepreneurs start and grow businesses. Go ahead, Greg. Thank you. With that said, most incubators have a specific focus that helps diversify them from other incubators. Usually there is a high-tech focus with the incubator, and most incubators are directly connected with a university. The incubator in Batavia and our incubator in Corning and Alfred were created quite a long time ago, as I mentioned, and so both incubators are not connected to a university. So we were started with the purpose to create economic development in the region, and we are a standalone nonprofit incubator. With that said, when we started 35 years ago, our focus, our high-tech focus, so to speak, was ceramics and glass because of the part of New York State that we sit in. Corning Incorporated being a world innovator of ceramics and glass sciences, and then Alfred University being a world-renowned school for ceramics and glass sciences. So it made a lot of sense to have that focus. Over the years, what we have found is that we are in a small corner of New York State that doesn't necessarily have that many high-tech startups spinning out of it. So we certainly do still serve ceramics and glass startups. Our Alfred incubator is predominantly ceramics and glass. I think we have about 5 to 6 ceramics and glass startups in the Alfred incubator that are science related. And then with the additional programming that we do, we serve Main Street type entrepreneurs. So individuals that might be looking to start a coffee shop or a restaurant or a cleaning company. Really, there is no focus when it comes to Main Street type businesses. We get that question a lot. It is all over the place as far as ideas that people are looking to start. Go ahead, Greg. And here are some fun companies that some of you might have heard of that have come through the incubators. So our incubators, since we are standalone nonprofit, they are run a little bit like a mall at the operational standpoint. So we have an anchor tenant in Corning and we have an anchor tenant in Alfred, and those anchor tenants really just allow us to have cash flow for our operations. With that said, the tenant in our Corning incubator is Corning Incorporated. So they really like using our incubator as an incubator because it separates them from the corporate world that they might see over in Corning or up the hill at Sullivan Park. So with that said, Gorilla Glass came through this incubator. Willow Glass also came through this incubator. In the Alfred incubator, I like telling this story because a lot of people do not know, there is a retired college professor from Alfred University named Dr. Varshnaya, and he started this business back in the early 90s with the EpiPens. So the vials that hold the epinephrine medicine in every single EpiPen, before Dr. Varshnaya made this business back in the late 80s or before the 90s, there was a very high failure rate for every single EpiPen. Either you would drop it and the glass vial would pop and there goes medicine, or you need many pounds of pressure when you use an EpiPen, and sometimes that pound of pressure would cause the glass vial to pop, and then there goes all of the epinephrine medicine instead of going into your bloodstream. So Dr. Varshnaya created this glass science process which hardens the EpiPen vial. Since he started this business, there have been no known failures of the EpiPen due to the vial that holds the medicine. So Dr. V will take 2 glass vials and he will take one that's not processed and one that is processed and drop them. His literally bounces off the ground, and the unprocessed one, of course, shatters in a million pieces. Also, Versalume, also known as Fibrance. So that is the photo of the dashboard there. I think that's in an Audi or a Mercedes. I forget which vehicle they first put it in. So Corning holds on to their IP. They shelve their IP like Disney used to do with their movies. I always joke the Disney vault that no longer lives because we have Disney Plus. But many businesses, they might sell their IP to someone to commercialize it. Corning Incorporated holds onto their IP, which many of the products that you see on the screen have been from IP that's been shelved, such as Gorilla Glass and Willow Glass. When Corning first started working with fiber optics, we know of fiber optics for many reasons, one of them being it gets our internet to us, was that the fiber optic was leaking. They did not want the fiber optic to leak because then the data could not go through the fiber optic. And so, of course, they developed and did a whole bunch of research and development to make that fiber not leak. But then what they did, what Fibrance and Versalume did, was they took that problem, which was the leaky fiber, and they made it into decorative pieces. So every single color of the rainbow that you can think of is that decorative fiber. They use it in automotive installations, art installations. They also are doing work with medical fiber, and then clothing, I think, is number 4. I think that's all of them. So really interesting product. And then lastly, the jet engine ceramic coatings. This is a startup in our Alfred incubator when we think about high-tech ceramic and glass startup. The problem that a jet engine has when it gets in the air is that the hot part of the engine gets so hot that it melts the metal on the jet engine. So that is certainly a problem because that means the jet would fall out of the air. What Xylem Technical Ceramics have done is they have taken Renew rare earth waste. Some of you might have heard of Renew, or rare earths rather, that are used in our electronics. And so what happens when many different companies are using rare earths on electronics is the way that they apply that is through a spray coating. And there's a lot of wasted spray that goes into the vessel that they're using to spray this on. So Xylem Technical Ceramics have taken this waste spray and they have turned it into a spray that goes onto the ceramic, or that goes onto the metal rather of the jet engine. So it's a ceramic coating. So they have a lot of grants called SBIRs that they're working with because this is a very important project. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. All right. So what does Incubator Works do? What resources, what programs do we offer? How do we help entrepreneurs? We help entrepreneurs in many different ways. One being you can rent space in our incubator and access our services. You also can be a virtual entrepreneur, which means you access our services but don't rent space from us. Virtual entrepreneurs typically meet with a mentor at Incubator Works once a month, depending on their needs and availability and all of those types of things. But our bread and butter program is this program on the screen. So this is called Co-Starters. So this program is a nice tight-knit package, which is 11 weeks long, and it takes that mentorship that you might see if you rent space from us or even meet with us once a month into an 11-week package. So we are currently in our 8th cohort, and you know, being that we've had 8 cohorts, some of them have been in person, some of them have been on Zoom. Certainly, we still prefer the in-person model. I will say that right now we're doing a bit of a hybrid model. We met the first time on in person, and then we are meeting a few times on Zoom. We will be meeting in person for the middle one, and then a few times on Zoom. And then we do have a pitch competition on week 11, where everyone that participates gets to pitch their business idea, which is a 5-minute pitch at the chance to win $500. And so far we have had 60 participants, 7 cohorts, 8 is ongoing, of course. Of those participants, 61% of them have been women. So women like to start businesses, right? 27% have been the BIPOC population. And then how many businesses have started? 32 out of those 60 participants have started. 15 of them are growing and 21 are still in the pipeline and working on developing their business because these things take time. You can't just necessarily have an idea and start your business tomorrow. Many people do that, but of course you have a higher success rate if you take the time and put the time into it. And then on the left-hand side, it shows the counties that those individuals come from. So Chemung County is 25, Steuben is 15, Schuyler is 5, Allegheny is 12, other is 3. So I mentioned in the beginning the counties that we serve. That does not mean necessarily that we cannot go outside our service area because there are entrepreneurs very close to those counties that need our help. Also, there are entrepreneurs that are connected to any of our staff from, you know, different ways that have reached out to us. One entrepreneur came all the way from Delaware County, which is 2 hours away, because there was nothing like that in her area, like an incubator or a small business class. Our last cohort had someone from New York City, because although New York City does have a lot of incubators and does have a lot of accelerators, the market is so saturated that they just don't have time to work with Main Street type businesses. And additionally, with that Main Street type business, we work very well with the SBDC and REDEC, which are in our incubator. I think someone had mentioned that earlier, but there is such a high need for this service that certainly we all help each other out with different entrepreneurs that we see. And if they get someone that has a ceramics and glass startup, certainly they will send them our way and vice versa. So some of the client successes Greg had put there on the right, you might have heard of some of these businesses that are local to our area. Thank you, Greg. And lastly, one of the biggest pieces of co-starters that we recommend is doing customer discovery. So I always joke, you know, what is a business? If we were to look it up in the dictionary, which no one uses dictionaries anymore, but if we were, a business is a solution to a problem. And with that said, although a business is solving a problem for a customer, and we use a example as simple as a coffee business. So, you know, if I wake up in the morning and my problem is that I don't have coffee at home, then I stop at a coffee shop on my way into work. So my problem was that I didn't have coffee at home. My solution was that coffee shop. So that is the definition of a business. But furthermore than that, your customer must be willing to pay what you dictate as your price point. So with that, Greg is going to talk about customer discovery.
Thanks, Ashley. Howard mentioned earlier that, you know, they really work on business plans, and our co-starters class kind of gets them before they've even gotten to a business to plan. People contact us and they're like, I have an idea. And an idea is great, but we really need to find out if you're solving a problem. And as Ashley said, Are they going to pay you for your problem? So we use a real simple example, and I'm going to walk through it with everybody just to kind of give you an idea of what customer discovery is and how you kind of need to continue doing it throughout your business career. So in our class, we talk about Carly. Carly is a coffee cart, walks you through the whole business model canvas. So Carly starts out her morning, and Carly is like me. She's running late and she needs coffee. And she kind of has to look around and she goes, oh my goodness, everybody is kind of hustling this morning. I didn't get a chance to get coffee. I wonder if anybody else did. And so Carly's recognized a problem in her own life, and she thinks that she may have a solution. So she does what we refer to as customer discovery. Customer discovery is really investigation. And as I was typing this up for today, I was thinking of an old Peter Falk, when he used to do the investigations, and he'd walk in and he'd start asking very open questions and just about situations. Probably you've seen it on Law and Order. Customer discovery is, taking a problem that you're thinking has a solution, wondering if somebody's going to pay you for it, and then you becoming the investigator. You go out and you start asking people questions and gather your results and review the results with a very open mind. So if you go out and you're thinking, Carly's got a coffee cart that she's trying to get started. So she goes out and she talks to 50 different people and she asks them questions. And she doesn't go in and do things like, hey, would you buy my coffee? Because anybody would be like, oh yeah, without even asking how much it was, or where did it come from, or is it sustainable, or is it, So she goes out and starts asking questions of the people in her complex. So she asks open-ended questions. What is the caffeine or coffee beverage of choice? Or what do you like to drink in the morning? Why do you like it? What don't you like about it? How much are you paying for your coffee? Where do you normally buy it? And then the who is the demographics of the people that she talked to. The idea is that she's going to take this information and gather it and pull it all together and go, okay, I talked to 50 people, 43 of them drink coffee, 5 drink tea, 2 don't drink either. They're all water. 35 of them lived in the north and south and southwest of the office complex. It's 70% of her population. 18 stopped at Starbucks, 16 stopped at Dunkin', and all of them had to pick it up on someplace out of their way onto work out of that. Large coffee is $3.59 from Starbucks. Dunkin' is $3.25. 11 of those coffee drinkers and tea drinkers brought it from home. The rest went from out. There's 325 people in her complex. Construction's coming through, and she's got another 158 coming in next year. This helps her answer those questions of how much they paid, where they went, and really, she's thinking of starting a business. She is doing her customer discovery. Customer discovery is not selling your product. It's very easy to start going down the road of, well, if I was to start a little coffee cart here in the complex, would you buy coffee? And that's a very close-end question. People are going to be like, well, yeah, sure, I'll buy coffee. You're not going to ask, hey, would you buy this? Asking yes and no questions is not a good form of customer discovery. And it's not a good idea to lead people to your solution. If you remember science, you're testing your hypothesis. This is testing your hypothesis and keeping an open mind. If you're forcing the results, you're not really doing customer discovery. And customer discovery is not ever done. It continues to find the next solution. So in our class, Carly opens up her coffee cart. She does the whole financial analysis, but then she has to pay attention to what happens next. Customer discovery, she might need to figure out, oh my goodness, everybody in Ithaca is buying bubble tea. And boy, maybe I need to carry that in my shop. Or, what's the new coffee drink that's coming along that you saw somewhere or you had made? So she continues to develop and build on her customer discovery. So we're going to do some questions and answers on that if you have any questions about this customer discovery, but we wanted to make sure that you all as small business owners continue to do customer discovery to find that next big thing. Good thing to think of that is I was thinking of companies that I grew up with, like IBM, Texas Instruments, Commodore Computers, Atari. They peaked and they didn't continue to develop. So customer discovery brings you on to the next big thing. A couple things from Incubator Works. We have a 35th anniversary coming up on Tuesday the 19th here at our incubator in Painted Post, Corning. We would love to have everybody here. You are all welcome, and we will make sure that we get invitations. This is just a save the date. Ashley talked about our co-starters class. The current one wraps up on June 29th, and the next one will be starting in the fall. So we always appreciate referrals from local businesses and look forward to your support. And that is everything from me, and I will hand it back to Beth.
Great, thank you. I don't see any questions that came through the chat, but we'll go ahead and open it up. Does any of the attendees have any questions for the panelists? Oh, it's pretty quiet there. All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and close it up early. Thank you, everyone, and we will share the link to the recording with you later on. You can visit chemungchamber.org to register for upcoming webinars or find recordings of previous webinars. For anyone interested in chamber membership, please contact the chamber at info@chemungchamber.org or call 607-734-5137. Many thanks to our presenters and to everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.